and dark.
I'm not going to get into exactly what I saw. It's dark. It's real dark. But what we saw is these two girls alive. There's a period of time, and what appears to us that they're deceased.
I'm not going to get into exactly what I saw. It's dark. It's real dark. That sentence did not come from a horror film. It came from a homicide lieutenant standing behind a podium in Philadelphia, trying to explain to the public why a routine traffic stop near the Liberty Bell turned into one of the largest death investigations that unit has ever handled. The officer pulled over a BMW. Inside were two people. One was a 44-year-old felon named Eugene Horsch. The other was a woman carrying a fake ID belonging to a missing person named Blair Tanzelli, who has not been seen since 2023. That single moment of cognitive dissonance, a fake federal badge, a missing woman's name, a tourist district at 8 in the morning, cracked open what was happening inside a house at 417 Chew Avenue.
This is what they said at a news conference yesterday.
It started on June 19th, February, June 19th, 8 a.m. at 6th and Market Streets. United States Park police officer conducted a car stop pedestrian investigation at that location. The vehicle was a BMW. In the vehicle were two passengers, a passenger and a driver. The driver was a Eugene Horsch. He's a 44-year-old male from 417 Chew Avenue. The passenger is a white female, provided fake ID in the name of Blair Tanzelli. During the course of this investigation, the street investigation, 2 illegal handguns were recovered from that vehicle, around $8,000 of illegal drugs, which were crack cocaine, heroin, and marijuana, and a DEA badge with credentials. Eugene Horsch's picture was on that ID. During the briefing process, the name Blair Tanzelli came up again, and we
think of the house as a locked archive, not a home. An archive of violence recorded and stored. The front door was barricaded. The windows were covered. Surveillance cameras watched the street, and inside, investigators found not a living space but a laboratory, a basement lab. 55-gallon drums, containers of an unknown oily substance, a marijuana grow operation worth over $280,000, and more than 50 electronic devices. Hard drives, computers, thumb drives, that is the visual anchor. A decayed row house on a Google Maps image that looks completely unremarkable to a pedestrian. But when you cross the threshold, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a storage facility for evidence of what happened to women who vanished.
From the Philadelphia Police Department assigned to the federal task force served a search warrant at 417 Chew Avenue. Recovered another illegal gun, gun parts, a marijuana grow operation with a street value of over $280,000. Another badge, this time it was an FBI badge with credentials, again with Eugene Horsch's picture on it. Also in the house were 5 urns containing what we believe is the cremated remains. The DEA contacted Tom Walsh. He's the lieutenant in homicide.
Per Fox 29 Philadelphia. Now, I have a federal criminal complaint that says a police officer approached a BMW that wasn't parked far from the Liberty Bell, Center City, Philadelphia. And inside that BMW, he finds Eugene Horsch and a woman. And he says that he hears that woman in the car yelling, quote, "You're going to hurt me." Now, police also say that Horsch had sores that maybe came from illegal drug use. And they also say this unidentified woman who he was with also appeared to have potentially been under the influence of illegal drugs. But the ID that unidentified woman was carrying was that of Blair Tanzelli. And Blair's been missing since 2023. This is her profile on the National Missing Person Database, NamUs. Now, police say the woman in the car with Eugene, it's not Blair. And Blair is still missing. But we don't know how they got that ID. Eugene allegedly had enough weapons, drugs, and fake police documents.
During this search warrant, what appeared to be some type of lab or home lab in the basement, various containers containing an unknown oily substance, and over 50 pieces of electronic devices, and this is hard drives, computers, thumb drives, things of that nature.
This was just the beginning. Philadelphia police called in the FBI.
There are some of the investigative findings. We have
Before we go deeper into what the documents actually show, make sure you're subscribed to Beyond the Gavel File, because we don't just cover the story. We follow the evidence. The federal criminal complaint says the officer approached the BMW and heard the woman inside yelling, quote, "You're going to hurt me." That is not a detail from a political hearing. That is a victim statement captured before the house was ever searched. And here is where the vocabulary shifts. The police call this a death investigation. That phrase sounds bureaucratic, almost bloodless. But in plain English, it means they have images and video that show two women alive, then a period of time, then the same two women appearing deceased. That is not evidence of a crime yet. That is evidence of an ending. The medical examiner cannot issue death certificates because there are no bodies, no body parts, no physical remains that can be placed on a table. The only entity that can declare those women legally dead without a body is the Philadelphia Orphans Court. That is how far this case already sits outside normal procedure.
Who were dead.
While searching the first hard drive, homicides detectives found the images and video of what appeared to be two deceased females. Those females have been identified. We know who they are. This is new territory for the homicide unit in Philadelphia. Usually when we have a homicide investigation, we have a body, we have body parts. This time we do not.
The two women in those images, according to police, Maribel Fresas and Gabrielle Amirando.
Then based on their review, the ME would believe the individuals depicted in the images are deceased. However, without having an actual body or body parts to physically examine, the ME cannot conclusively declare them deceased. Therefore, the ME cannot provide a death certificate or determine the cause of death. The only entity that will be able to declare the individuals deceased without a body will be the Philadelphia Orphans Court.
The two women in those images are Maribel Fresas, missing since February 2018, and Gabrielle Amirando, missing since 2012. Their families told police they did not know Eugene Horsch. They did not know the house. They did not know each other. And yet their final moments, as far as the evidence suggests, were stored on a hard drive inside that house.
And dark.
I'm not going to get into exactly what I saw. It's dark. It's real dark. But what we saw is these two girls alive. There's a period of time, and what appears to us that they're deceased. There's pieces of the video that we don't have yet, but again, we have 93% of more stuff to look at.
To this point, police do not know how these women died, and it's unclear if the images of the women were sent anywhere else. Now, as of yesterday, police say that of all the evidence they're going through, all that digital content they took from the house, they believe they've only gone through about 7% of it. They still have such a long way to go. Police say that Maribel Fresas and Gabrielle Amirando's families did not know Eugene Horsch. Right now,
that gap between the official timeline and the private record is not a conspiracy theory. It is the exact point where this investigation bends towards something larger. Because here is the parallel narrative. Eugene Horsch was not living in that house alone. His father, Raymond Charles Horsch, also lived there before he died in 2025. The father was a pornographic artist with a 50-year body of work described in his own Wikipedia entry as focusing on women in sadomasochistic settings. That word, sadomasochistic, means deriving sexual gratification from inflicting or experiencing pain and humiliation. This is not a moral judgment. It is a definition. And when detectives now review the 600,000 images, the 70,000 videos, and the 10,000 pages of writings and drawings seized from that property, they have to answer one impossible question. Is a given image a piece of staged fantasy from the father's career, or is it documentary evidence of an actual crime? That line is now the entire
12.
case.
Now, there are at least 2 more missing women reportedly tied to this home and potentially tied to Eugene, who we're going to talk about here in just a moment. But we also need to talk about another figure in this story and the story of this house, and that is Eugene's dad. His name is R.C. Horsch, and he was an infamous pornographic artist. So infamous, he actually has a pretty detailed Wikipedia page. That page reads, his 50-year body of work ranges from poetic to explicit. His artistic work often focuses on scantily clad women in sadomasochistic settings. Now, I had to look that word up. And that word means, quote, getting pleasure, often sexual, from inflicting physical or mental pain on someone else, or from experiencing pain and humiliation yourself. According to police, RC died in 2025 from a lung condition, but his wife has been missing for a decade. He was married to a woman named Amy McHale, according to the Philadelphia Inquirer. These are pictures that we found from Amy's Facebook page. She hasn't been seen since 2016, and her daughter posted this picture of the two of them on social media. And she also posted this in 2024, a missing persons poster that says that Amy was last seen about a mile from that home on Chew Avenue that is now at the center of this investigation.
The moral refrain is this: the evidence is the witness. The evidence is the witness.
We have served over 95 search warrants to date on the house and its contents. The FBI has been a tremendous asset in this investigation and helped us with collecting the evidence and processing the evidence. July 9th, FBI certified K-9 team from the Jersey State Police searched the house and the premises around the house. July 22nd, I know many of you were out there at the location of 417 Chew Avenue. That's when we served the search warrant again on that property to remove the sewer line, the lateral, and the trap. And we wanted to examine the contents in that sewer line. July 27th, the 20-plus containers with the unknown substance was delivered to a special lab in Chicago for testing and analysis. The beginning of August, the digital evidence that we served search warrants on started coming in. We utilized the RCFL, and that's the Regional Computer Forensic Lab. The amount of information and digital evidence that we got was astonishing. The investigators in that investigative group, we have to look over 600,000 images, 70,000 videos, and over 10,000 pages of writings, manuscripts, and drawings.
Because without a body, without a confession, without a surviving victim who can testify, the only thing left speaking is the digital record. And that record is enormous. Police say they have served over 95 search warrants. They have reviewed roughly 7% of the digital content. 7%. That means 93% of what was seized remains unexamined. The authorities themselves admit the investigation will take months, not weeks. They have already excavated the sewer line. They have removed the lateral and the trap. They have sent chemical samples to a lab in Chicago.
Location of 417 Chew Avenue. That's when we served the search warrant again on that property to remove the sewer line, the lateral, and the trap. And we wanted to examine the contents in that sewer line. July 27th, the 20-plus containers with the unknown substance was delivered to a special lab in Chicago for testing and analysis.
That is not the behavior of a department clearing a drug house. That is the behavior of a department looking for where the remains might have gone. So here is the ticking clock question. If a man with no current murder charge, no prior homicide conviction, and no known connection to 2 missing women can sit at the center of a federal death investigation involving fake FBI credentials, defaced firearms, 5 urns of cremated remains, and enough digital storage to outlast multiple investigative teams, then what does that tell us about how many other cold cases are hiding inside the same kind of ordinary row house, waiting for the right traffic stop to bring them into view?
What do you make of the sheer volume of videos and images. Just, I don't even know what's on them, but just the fact that someone would have that in their house.
Well, that's the thing, that's why the cameras are there. You're gonna have to review the cameras. How far did the videos go back to? Did they store them on hard drives or USBs? That's what they're doing now. So they got all of the digital evidence, and now it's gonna take time to review. And the amount of personnel to do that, do it well, do it properly, is going to take time. We've had cases, we've had like 15, 20 hours of video, and we'll have 4 or 5 detectives look at it to see if they see something different. So you're going to have more detectives look at these things to determine what was there, what was seen, what wasn't seen. It's just a real undertaking by the police department, and you hope to get the rightful conclusion, because there's something else going on in that house. And then that's the thing. Is it just the crack house shooting gallery, or is it something more heinous? Like they had chemicals there. They're trying to either manufacture drugs. They had 55-gallon drums there. They had chemicals, a growing operation. He was starting, and he lived there, and his father lived there. So he's been in that house. It's got a lot of documentation they have to go through, a lot of forensic evidence you have to go through, and to determine whether the deaths were caused by a criminal action. That's going to take time.
Well, and it's like, even like, I think of like what his dad did for a living and like what he was known for. I mean, it was, some pretty rough looking. I mean, there's a few images online, but I didn't want to frankly take my work computer to that part of the internet and kind of researching for this story. But like, you can get a sense of like what it was. It's like, even I assume for detectives now having to figure out, when you see an image, if it was shot by his father, is this a real crime I'm looking at, or was this something that was part of kind of this fantasy world he was doing in the porn industry?
Yeah, that's the thing, is you don't know. And that's why you've got to take the leads, the investigative facts, and determine what is factual, what is not. But that's why the marshaling of evidence, all this documentation, is going to take time. I just, I don't envy the amount of work that's being done, but it is something that detectives do every day. And it goes back to this. This stemmed from an initial car stop of a vehicle parked near a park where an argument ensued, and the officer took proactive action, and then you saw the cascading effect of that. So that's what we have to understand, is why police do what they do, and why this investigation may turn out to be something more than just drug paraphernalia and drug activity.
All right, and he had so many things in his car, it seems, allegedly. Whether it be guns, which he's a felon, can't have that. These forged documents, like to be a fake name, but with his picture of like either a DEA or an FBI agent. And then you serve the search warrant, and then suddenly, like, you walk in the door and it's a lab. I mean, it's sounds like it looked like a horror movie. And then I also think of like 600,000 images, 70,000 videos, 10,000 like written documents that they took and like, you have to go through. This isn't like skimming, like on your phone. Like, you are documenting what was in every single one. And they said they've only gone through 7% of what they've gotten, and it's been more than a month since they first had it, or roughly about a month.
The evidence is the witness. Horsch is currently in federal custody on charges of being a felon.
He's facing federal charges of possession of a firearm by a felon, and a charge for allegedly having those fake law enforcement badges. Now, he was a felon because in 2014, Eugene was convicted of possession with intent to distribute. And back then, he was sentenced to 2 to 4 years in prison. At this point, again, he is not charged with a violent crime. He's not charged with murder, but he's next due in court on those federal charges on September 8th.
We want people that were inside that house to call us. We want people that engaged in any way with Eugene or Raymond Charles to contact us, because we want to put this timeline together. We want to see all their interactions.
In possession of a firearm and possessing counterfeit law enforcement credentials. Those charges are narrow. They are deliberate. They allow federal authorities to hold him while investigators process the larger body of material. The defaced serial numbers on the recovered weapons increase the federal weight of the case. But the murder charges, if they ever come, will have to be built from a new kind of evidence. Not a body, not a weapon, but a time-stamped sequence of images showing someone alive, then not alive, with no explanation in between. That is the true burden here. The families of Marbel Frisis and Gabriel Amirando waited 6 and 13 years for answers. They did not get a phone call saying their daughters had been found. They got a phone call saying their daughters appeared in a video file. That distinction matters. It means the state has enough evidence to tell a family their loved one is gone, but not enough evidence to say how. That is the cruelest position in the legal
Now
system.
are dead. They were missing. They believe they're dead. You have video, but you don't have a body. So what can you do with that if you're Philadelphia police?
Well, that is the issue. Thanks for having me. You know, when you talk about these cases, this doesn't develop unless the police officer makes that stop and interaction, and this cascaded into something that they didn't expect to be. So now you have a missing person in the ID. You've gotten to you're able to get search warrants for the house. Now you've got information about missings from there. To deal without no body, no case. And a lot of times that happens. We need something to connect him or that house into their death. They may have the deaths observed, but where's the body? What caused their death? And the ME's office can't determine that right now because we have no body.
Well, and I think too, you know, Maribel, and I want to make sure I have this right. Maribel Freshes, she's been missing since February of 2018. Gabrielle Amirando has been missing since 2012. I mean, that is such a long period of time for someone to have not been seen. How does that complicate things? Where it's like, we don't even know when they, you know, we don't know how they knew Eugene Horsch. We don't know when they would have gone into the home. We don't know if they were in the home. We don't know where this video came from, where it's like, it's easy on the outside to look and say like, well, you know, someone might say, I'm not saying it, that, you know, Eugene definitely had something to do with this. Everything's alleged at this point. He has been charged with murder. But at the same time, like, there's so many steps, it seems, that law enforcement is going to have to piece together on this to figure out exactly what happened.
Because what you're doing now with the investigation is you're doing a search warrants. They had 95 search warrants. That's an immense amount of work on that. Interviews of the neighborhood, people in the neighborhood to determine what was going on in the house. And looking at the house's condition, it didn't look like a regular house. I mean, the windows are barricaded up, boarded up. And then you had these surveillance cameras. So something's going on there of ill repute. Or, I mean, it's probably a crack house in a sense. It's called crack houses, shooting galleries, whatever it is. So we have to find the connection of those individuals to the defendant in this case, and all you have is video. So there needs to be more. And here's the thing I always say is,
Now I want you to look at one public document. The federal criminal complaint filed against Eugene Horsch in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. It is a public filing. You can read the exact language describing the traffic stop, the fake ID, the recovered weapons, the badges. Go to the PASAR system or search the district court docket. Then come back here and answer one direct question. If the complaint only charges gun possession and counterfeit credentials, but the search warrant inventory includes 5 urns, a basement lab, and digital evidence of 2 deceased women, then what charge do you believe is coming next? And why do you think federal prosecutors are waiting to file it?
well, that's why the federal charges are pretty good, because he was not only possession of the firearm, but they're defaced and serial numbers were removed. So that ups the charge. And it was the reason I think that's why you went federal is because you have a better chance of holding him in. We have seen, unfortunately, in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia, particularly, gun possession, drug possession, you're in and out. So this is a way of keeping them in as they do this. And it's been since June they've been working on this case. So you're talking about almost 2 months. And that's just in the house. They just went into the sewer areas. So they've either found information from the documentation or videos they have to now go into to pull up the sewer pipes there. So they're looking for something. And they just have to get a totality of circumstances on it.
On the sewage pipe, because I know they like excavated the home, like they're underneath it. They're trying to figure out like what, if anything, could be like hidden under there. There's some urns in the house that and one might be from a family member, but it's like, who are the other, you know, what, there's 5 urns, like what's in there? Like, how long is it going to take, at least for getting that info? Like, they're still going through the pictures, but like, how long is it going to take to get back everything else that they've been testing?
That could be a very long time. They're doing the chemical testing because even though they had chemicals there, we don't know what is, if it's labeled, is it actually what's the chemical labeled? So let's just say, for example, if it's hydroxide, we don't know until they test.
You know, especially also once you see that video of, on the hard drive, which in some ways it's incredible that that was one of the first hard drives they went through with all the hard drives that they have to go through, that was the one that showed them these two women they say have passed away. And then, you know, you just fear now for what they're going to find next. We'll see if they find anything. Of course, he's innocent till proven guilty, and we'll see what happens. Retired NY.
Put your answer in the comments. I read every single one. If this kind of evidence, first breakdown, is what you come to YouTube for, then like this video, share it with someone who still believes a house can hide nothing, and subscribe to Beyond the Gavel file with notifications turned on, because the next filing in this case could change everything. And when it drops, you will not hear about it first from a headline. You will hear about it here, with the docket in front of us, and the evidence doing the talking.